cybersecurity has been in the news a lot lately, and I'm here with Anthony to talk about a lot of different things with it and why or where is that intersection, Anthony, between cybersecurity and finance and accounting professionals?
Yeah, I think the finance industry in general has always been a trusted advisor, and I think that's where they're coming across now. Is we can give you guidance on cybersecurity best practices. Finance services themselves are experiencing a lot of increase in attacks themselves, and so they've actually had to go through the process of combating and creating their own best practice to combat them because of the heightened exposure that they have. Now, one of the things is that an organization is a single point of failure, where an accounting firm and an insurance firm has multiple clients on their books, and so the security posture for these organizations has to improve. And the best thing about that is due diligence and responsibility as a trusted advisor for the organizations out there is to pass on their best practice and their knowledge.
Great. So you mentioned the process that financial and accounting professionals have to look at now. Can you talk a little bit about how they can advise their client? Maybe there are certain steps or things that they can think about when looking at cybersecurity process?
Yeah, I think one of the things that most firms should be doing is kind of establishing some easy policies and procedures, some best practice steps. There's so many resources out there that are available now where you can get some best practice, but I think keeping that relationship and that trusted relationship of designing a template and then passing it on to your clients is a really beneficial step. It initiates the conversation to ensure that that's happening, and with that then can come in some guidance on frequency of testing or frequency of having these policies reviewed when updated. And I think a lot of these references and a lot of these policies cross-reference each other. So data classifications, for example, would cross-reference your position on accepting data, and then that would transfer to vendor management. Vendor management would then go into security practices and then change management. So they all cross-reference each other.
So you mentioned updating policies, and I know that's the favorite thing that everyone in an organization loves to do.
I'm an old school IT auditor, so my whole mantra, if it's not written, it's not done. So I think for each particular key policy, my preference would be at least to be reviewed on an annual basis. But for some of those policies that are dealing with more sensitive information, then obviously the risk is higher, so the frequency should be higher. One of the key things that I say is a policy should be reviewed annually, but say, for example, reviewing a finance person with elevated privileges or IT administration admin should be reviewed potentially quarterly.
Great. And I've heard you speak before about being prepared and having kind of that message to your public, if you're an organization or even a firm, to your clients. So could you speak a little bit about that? Yeah,
certainly. One of the heartbreaking things that you get is when you pick up the phone and you're answering the phone for someone we've already been hacked and we don't know what to do. The biggest message out there is to preparedness. So actually have a security incident response plan prepared, or at least a chain of command on how to escalate. Because the biggest way to restore your business or your foundation will be establishing trust again. And the easiest way to do that is with a very succinct policy, which is a chain of command.
So why should organizations care about this?
Yeah, so definitely. I think data classification and the importance of what's actually sitting on people's databases nowadays. With the Internet of Things, you've got so much crucial information. So you've got these are all things where the data pool right now that's out there, and these databases are becoming way more important and way more bigger targets for the hackers out there.
Yeah. So that brings up the question of insurance. Could you speak a little bit about, are there different types of insurance? Is this covered by my regular just operations insurance? What are things that I need to think about as a company?
Sure. I think the cybersecurity liability insurance, I feel, is still in its infancy, and so the way to establish those programs is also quite new. So I think one of the key things that organizations have to think about is what's important to them, what is covered. So looking at aspects of like disaster recovery or business continuity, and what type of support does the insurance policy give them. There's many factors in there that you need to consider, And then obviously this comes down to the way that the policy is formulated. My best advice out there for most organizations is to establish the number of records that you have and then times that by a particular figure to identify what the level of coverage is that you require. So.
Great. Okay. Well, thanks, Anthony, and thanks to everyone watching, and have a great day.
Thanks.